Hello, Deanna here, and thanks so much for being here. So today's video is a book review, and the book I'm reviewing is The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. I just finished this one yesterday. Absolutely love it, but let's go ahead and give a little bit of a brief summary of The Rose Code. So during the peak of World War II, as England is fighting the advances of Germany, 3 women from very different backgrounds are summoned by mysterious orders. They are recruited to Bletchley Park, where they are required to take oaths for king and country or be tried with treason. Here, their skills are all put to the test in a secret world that could change the fates of all of England. These 3 different women, Mab, Osla, and Beth, are each pushed to their limits and form a bond through the process. But with a war raging around them, lives lost, and the stress of breaking German codes on their shoulders, will their bond survive loss, heartache, and the tragedy of war? So I came into this one already having previously read one of Kate Quinn's books. So I read The Alice Network, which I will have a review about that shortly as well. And I just knew from reading The Alice Network, I knew kind of the stylings of Kate, and that she does write historical fiction, especially centered around like World War II kind of era. And so I knew that, and I knew she had already kind of explored that before in the Alice Network. So I was kind of coming with a bit of that understanding of that when I started reading The Rose Code. I think, though, to be very frank, that this one took that of what she did in the Alice Network, and it really just like elevated it. We've got our 3 main characters, which are Mab, Osla, I believe if I'm saying that right, and Beth, and each one of them were just fantastic women. They just had such interesting backgrounds and just character development, their kind of traits and things like that, and it just made each of them very unique, and each one I wanted to delve into more and like find out more about, because I just loved each one of them. I found like I could resonate with and relate to different traits in all of them in some different way, and I absolutely did love that about these women. I think they also were, you might have heard the term Mary Sue, where it's like this perfect woman who like can do no wrong, I think is kind of the way that term is used, whereas I feel like these women were not Mary Sue's, because they had flaws, they had issues, they had insecurities that maybe surrounded them, and I think it's just the fact that they were very real feeling women and going through such a heightened time of just war and just the horrors that they faced essentially really just made them that much more compelling as characters. I also loved so much how Kate like stayed pretty true to historic facts, and I think she does that pretty well, at least from what I've read in her stories, but yet she sprinkles in that little bit of fiction to make it really fun and to make it a novel. And I love that connecting of those 2 different elements of the actual facts and the fiction to make a wonderful story. And just like even things like having the Prince Philip of Greece in here, I did not know that he was going to make an appearance, and I just found that really fascinating to kind of read, and I just made it feel like that much more real to read it. Like, of course, the events of World War II are so real and so huge in a lot of ways, and that is very real, but when you're dealing with characters that are like fake characters, sometimes it can take you out and have you removed. But with how very closely she created these characters to real characters, just made them feel that much more authentic and real. And in regards to our 3 main characters, I couldn't tell you which one was my favorite, because again, like I said, I resonated so much with each one of them in different ways. We had Mab, who is just like such a big, strong personality. We've got Asla, who is beautiful, but is trying to break free of that stereotype of being viewed as just like a silly, rich Deb. Like she's just a socialite pretty much, and she's trying to get out from that shadow cast upon her. And then we have Beth, and Beth is quiet and shy, probably our most insecure out of the three of them, and has just a lot that she deals with, just trying to even just deal with the world. So all of them just were such fantastic women, and I really loved seeing them grow and how much they changed from the start of the novel until the end of the novel, and just that story progression and character development. In this book with the Rose Code, there is definitely a lot of mystery and intrigue that surrounds this story, especially since our main characters are doing the type of work that they're doing. They're working for the government, they've been sworn to secrecy. Like there's a lot of just questioning going on. Like there's a lot that they don't even know because they're kept so segregated, so that there's no secrets that are being spilled, and so that the government can run a really tight ship on making sure that if anything happens, that they know as little as possible, because they're infiltrating the Germans and breaking codes and trying to figure out like what are the Germans' plans and where are they going to strike next and things like that. So this is very sensitive information that the ladies are dealing with, and all of the others. There's like a whole bunch of characters within this story, and so they have to be sworn to take an oath that if they reveal any secrets or share anything, then they could be tried for treason, and that's just very, very serious. So there's a lot riding on this, and that's a lot of stress to put on these women's shoulder, and the men as well. They're trying to literally save lives and stop a war, and so sometimes there's moments where there's a big countdown and they know that something's happening, but they don't have all of the details, so they're trying to break the codes, and it's just a lot. And it was definitely something that kept me just very engaged in this read and trying to find out what's going on and rooting for our characters and their victory at the end. I think that Kate also does a really excellent job at being very authentic to the 1940s, especially the treatment of women around that time, especially when we have our main characters as women who are trying to do whatever they can to do something, some type of efforts towards supporting this war and supporting their government and their fellow individual, the fellow people of England and their allies, because sometimes women could be very overlooked and they didn't always have all the rights that we have now. And so they were really fighting to just be a voice and be a positive influence in the success of the war. And even with these roles that they're doing, they're so important to help with this information that they are breaking and providing this support. They're still not always taken very seriously. They're still sometimes treated with a lack of respect, and it's just very evident sometimes in some of the things that happen. And I think that was just very authentic to how women were treated, especially back in the 1940s. So though there's a stark treatment between women and men in the 1940s, there's also some really great characters that were men that Kate wrote. My favorite being Dilly, which would have been Beth's kind of superior in the Bletchley Park, and just how kind he was, and just some of the things he said, and just how he motivated Beth and saw like things in his women to like give them a chance, and he knew that they would actually do a better job than most men. Like I just really liked the character of Dilly. And there was also some other really great characters like Francis Gray and Harry Zarb, like absolute wonderful characters, and also just really great for Kate to be able to portray how some of the men struggled as well with not being on the front lines and not being right there helping fight the war because maybe they were looked down upon for not doing that when they're a young, strapping, able-bodied man. Why are you not fighting for your country? And maybe they're fighting in a different way. And it was really interesting for her to explore that and have some characters that kind of struggle with that. And then I also did love seeing Prince Philip as well. Again, I was very shocked to see Prince Philip, but the fact that Kate was able to take some of what not only happened and what were some true facts about Philip, but maybe some of the quotes he said as well to really develop his character and who he was, I thought that was fascinating and fantastic as well. So overall, this was an absolute phenomenal read about strength and resilience and friendship and ultimately forgiveness as well. Like everything that happens, it was fantastic. She did a really good job in this one, I think, of going back and forth because we are sometimes in the time period of like the 1940s, early 1940s, and then we're like closer to the end after the war as well. So it was really interesting. I found this one a lot more of a smoother transition between those, and I was engaged with both because both of them were so important to this story and just like had the same characters and the same things, and it was kind of like what happened to them, what caused the breakdown in the relationship, and just everything that kind of led them to where they are. And I think it was really, really well done. I absolutely loved it. I think it was a phenomenal way that she did it. There was definitely some heartbreaking moments as well, like some moments that just made me stop and think and just really feel deeply because this is real, true events. These are real things going on. The loss, the fear, everything. Like there were definitely a lot of moments where I cried in this book. So it was definitely an emotional book sometimes. And like I said, a book just about like resilience and like just the strength of wills to get through sometimes some very harrowing times. So absolutely phenomenal and really well portrayed in this book. It also really made me reflect on what happened back then and really made me appreciate our ancestors and those that fought so bravely, both on the front lines and even at home, and just everything that everyone went through. It just, it's definitely, yeah, it could definitely get me, and it just made me appreciate that much more for the sacrifices that were made for all of us and how much they fought against evil and how we continue to need to fight against evil. My favorite line of the book was actually something that Dilly said to Beth. They were discussing about how the job is so stressful because they have a lot of pressure on them. They're trying to break these codes. It's a very big mental strain on them and how people can crack under pressure. And his quote, which I want to read because I even went ahead, as you see, I tagged it and I even underlined it here because it resonated with me so much, and it is: strain. It gets even the best brains in the business. Sometimes the best brains are the ones that get it worst. And I don't know why that really like struck me, but it just made me like sit and think, It has been some trying times lately. There's just been a lot that has happened in the last couple of years. And I know that a lot of us are feeling very burnt out and overwhelmed, and that sometimes the strongest of us that have the best brains really realize just everything, the weight of everything. And so if you are struggling, perhaps that just means you just have a really fantastic brain. So you just understand life and yourself. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give it a like. I really appreciate it. I gave this one 5 stars, like absolute 5 stars. I think I love this one even better than Alice Network. It was absolutely phenomenal. So I highly recommend this one. It's a big read, but it's done so well and it's so quick that I read it in like a couple days. So it was fabulous. Absolutely loved it. Can't rave about it enough. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give it a like. Thank you so much for being here. And wherever you are, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and you will see me next time. Bye!